Hello, my name is Bethany Gonyea and welcome to the Consciousness Athlete site. This video is to tell you about the Consciousness Athlete curriculum. You see, I put the curriculum together after over 25 years of working in the field of biofeedback. Biofeedback is the art and science of teaching people how to use their mind to positively influence the body. So on a day-to-day basis, I could teach people how to use their mind to lower their blood pressure, how to use their mind to eliminate a migraine headache, or maybe even how to use their mind to increase blood flow to their hands and feet. So for instance, if someone had Raynaud's syndrome and they had very cold extremities, teaching them how to send blood flow into their limbs. We are all that powerful if we learn how to focus our mind correctly. And so what I've done over the years is I've always looked for best practices. I've studied with some of the most iconic teachers on the planet, and I've looked at a lot of intentional research. I've run research studies, and I am just always looking on the cutting edge of best practices. How do we get the most impact from our mind to be able to change states in the body? And the Consciousness Athlete curriculum is using all of those skills to teach people how to change their state at will, how to come into command of their nervous system to feel fabulous. You see, you were meant to feel fabulous. It's our birthright. But what's happened is because we have these mismanaged nervous systems, people are struggling. They're struggling so much with substance abuse problems, relationship issues, overeating, gambling. It doesn't matter. And so much of those behaviors come from this basic unhappiness, but only because people just don't have basic understanding of how their nervous system works and how does happiness feel in the body. So what I've done is I put together this curriculum that follows a system that enables you to move your body and state of consciousness into happiness. And the way we do it is by conditioning the body just the way an athlete would condition the body to make your nervous system take you where you need to go when you need to go there. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about the components of the Consciousness Athlete program. And then I'm going to tell you about the class that I put together, because even the class itself is best practices to make sure that within 4 months you have a game changer, that you are in a totally different state of consciousness 4 months from when you start. So to begin with, the very first thing I do is I teach people how to focus their mind. Now, in this Netflix, texting, CNN, whatever it is culture, that's no small feat. Right? Because our minds have become very jumpy. We've become very hypervigilant. We've become very much constantly seeing one side and another side. And so what this does is create a lot of havoc and chaos in the nervous system. So the very first thing we do is we work on our focus. And I always say that when I teach people focus, I'm teaching people how to be happy. So just focusing your mind dramatically increases happiness. And we do that by working with the body, by the way. It's not just our minds, because we're always working the mind-body connection. You can't influence the mind without influencing the body, or influence the body without influencing the mind. So we're integrating the mind and body on our disciplined focus. The second thing we do, we cultivate an awareness of what's referred to in the East as the Dantian or the Hara. What we call here in the West is our core. So unfortunately, what's happened in the West is we've turned this core into an exercise craze, when actually there's this whole philosophy of being behind it. It's called abiding by the Dantian. It means anchoring in the lower abdomen, our awareness, and creating a detachment that enables us to be incredibly resourceful, even in the midst of challenge. So all during the Consciousness Athlete program, we are actually using the challenges that we encounter to become strengthened, to come more into greater command of the nervous system. And so when we realize that life is always going to be giving us challenges, so how can we be poised within ourselves to manage them more powerfully? So again, the next thing is cultivating the Dantian. Then we move on to the heart. So the heart is so much more than a pump, right? So people just think it's this it just pumps blood in the body. And actually there's so much more to it, that our heart influences our mood. In fact, that's why heart disease and depression are so highly correlated. That when we have an incoherent heart, we have an incoherent nervous system. And when we're incoherent, we're definitely more on the depressed side. So what we do is we train in heart coherence to be able to lift our heart. So I always say that when we become more coherent in our heart, we become happy for no good reason. Truth, you can just sit there and work on heart focusing, becoming more coherent in the heart, and you will be smiling, you'll laugh a whole lot easier. It's just because the heart is the biggest oscillator of the whole body that when we come into command of the heart, we're moving the dial on the entire body. Then we move on for there, and well, I should say during the whole time, we're also learning about our brain waves. We're learning about EEG biofeedback. We're learning that there are basically essentially 5 brain waves that we work with. We're learning how to tune our nervous system in such a way to reduce the high beta brain waves and to move it more into what we call an alpha bridge, which enables us to feel well-being. You see, well-being has to do when we are at peace on the inside and on the outside, and in the alpha bridge, we're able to have access to our kind of our subconscious mind while we're present in our environment. So we're balanced, right? We're being poised in our position to our environment. So we work a lot on brain waves and what does that mean? And we're always kind of addressing that as well. Then the other component that after we kind of get the body under command, we move into the field around the body. It's referred to now as the biofield, the aura, whatever it is. Understand that the field around your body is part of you. And the field around the body actually nourishes the body. And in fact, disease actually starts in the field around your body before it actually hits your body. So the idea that we spend time using all of the discipline that we've been cultivating with our mind, learning how our mind has great impact, and using that impact in the field around the body as well. And this is when we start moving into beautiful states consistently, when we put it all together. But notice how this isn't kind of like, I'm going to tell you how to do this in 10 easy steps. You need to really condition your nervous system to move into these states of consciousness, but it is an absolute guarantee that if you are willing to do the work of a consciousness athlete, you will achieve more greater states of well-being. So let me tell you more about how I put the curriculum together. Again, best practices to bring out the highest and best for everyone involved to make sure that you have a game changer in 4 months. So what happens is we meet every other week for 4 months, so 2 times a month for 4 months. And in each of those lessons, I'm giving you the next skill, right? So I'm giving you the next thing for you to master in your own nervous system. And at the end of the night, I make a meditation that has you explore that in your own nervous system, so that you're training each day like an athlete to move your nervous system in a very specific way to move towards greater well-being, joy, and good feelings. So you got to learn the skill and you got to practice, because 2 weeks later, I'm going to give you another skill. So, but actually people love to do the meditation, because not only are you coming into command of your own nervous system, but here's where it gets even more exciting to me, and I never get tired of this work. We train in taking that same discipline and sending our intentions out into our outer lives to influence the world around us. So understand that this is where we're moving into like law of attraction. I like to call it more intentional research, because there's a ton of research that shows that we are interacting with this field of consciousness around us. And the more we train in understanding this field of consciousness around us, we blur the edges of our consciousness to merge into oneness. And the more we train in communicating and interfacing with this field around us, the more into command of our lives we become. So I give people a skill, and then I make this mind-body exploration. And in the exploration, you will be practicing not only the skill inside your body, but how do you send intentions to your life and do it in a way that you'll get the results you want? Because you'll learn that your mind is quite powerful, and if you don't know what you're doing, you could end up getting the opposite of what you're really trying to intend. And then I add even something else, because I've been doing this work for so long. I know what has created change in people's lives. Then in the same mind-body exploration, I give you time to send intentions to somebody in your class. How does this happen? Because during class itself, after I've given you the new skill, then I sit there with a spreadsheet and I collect the intentions of everybody in the class. And this is where the beauty of group work comes together, okay? This is where there's so much wisdom in the class that I leave a lot of room for people to share, and people really come to love each other during the 4 months because we are sharing our deepest longings, our deepest loves, our deepest intentions, and then I put it onto a spreadsheet and I assign a day for every person. And what happens is people do the meditation, they come into command of their nervous system, send intentions to their own life, and then they spend a little bit of time at the end sending intentions to someone else. Now, let me just tell you, we've already done research on this, and we've done research because we've seen it. And that is that when you do that, that also increases your happiness. So you think, well, that's spending time in someone else's life. Trust me. Again, I put this together with best practices, and our research has shown that even just 8 days of doing that, people become 64% to 82% happier in just 8 days. So again, best practices, this is why I add that as well. Now, think about it, when you're on the receiving side of that, like that's a day where people will often joke, they say, oh, I know my name is on the list today. I can feel the extra energy. I can feel the extra vibe, right? So people love it when it's their day to receive the intentions and they know that they're receiving intentions from the group. Also understand that, as I said before, if you don't know what you're doing with sending intention, you could end up kind of creating results that you don't want. So the fact that you're going to have trained athletes sending you intention, like, you know, you couldn't have anything better than that to, again, help facilitate your life, to have it be a game changer in 4 months. Now, the reason why I call this website Consciousness Athletes, plural, is because what I'm wanting to do is to encourage people in their consciousness exploration. See, understand that consciousness is so vast, and our culture denies it completely. Our culture denies that we have this, that we extend past our body. And so because of that, we need support. We need support in knowing exactly the phenomenon that we're generating when we go into these heightened states of consciousness, that we're on the right path to keep going. Because if you don't have that reinforcement, you'll just say, oh, it doesn't, oh yeah, I felt good for a little bit, and then and then it stopped, right? Or it didn't work. Well, that's not the way the nervous system works. It's the idea that you did feel good at that point, but you didn't have the stamina, you didn't have the training in your nervous system to be able to sustain it. So this is why I'm creating this website, and I'm going to need your help on it, to have a group of people supporting each other and supporting each other's in our explorations and discoveries, because the quantum field is vast, and there's all sorts of ways to explore it. And all we know is that the more we train, the more fabulous we feel, and the more we start to understand our larger nature. And so think about that. 4 months, you're moving your nervous system into the signature of happiness. You're learning how to open your heart and expand and experience yourself as this transcendent being, the person who you really are, that, our culture tends to deny, but all of the spiritual traditions have affirmed. But I've put this curriculum together to make sure that you have the results you need to stick with it and make it a lifelong practice. So, and one last thing, I'll also tell you, I'm trained as an end-of-life doula, which basically means teaching people how to transition through this world, out of this life into the next. And so we even address that topic, that the same topics that we're using to live the most fabulous, emotionally free, uplifting, beautiful life here, where we use challenges to fall up instead of getting lost in depression and whatever, we actually are using all those skills so that even the end of our lives are skilled as well, right? So that when we know that we're closing out of our lives, we have lived the most dynamic, powerful, present life possible, and we can use these skills to actually transition and ride out of this world as well. Now, that may sound like a weird topic, but understand that when you're coming to live like from this place of consciousness, that's not really a veil. Like you're living on both sides anyway. Like you start to understand what I mean by that. And so part of the reason why I put this curriculum together as well is because I see so many people studying spirituality for so many years, and they're still experiencing low-grade depression. They're still experiencing substance issues. They're still experiencing not really getting the benefits of spirituality, because they don't understand they've never been given the owner's manual to their nervous system. And we need the owner's manual to our nervous system, otherwise we stumble for decades. And it's just my passion to teach people about their own technology. So come play with us. We always laugh a lot. There's a lot of sharing. You're going to meet some of the most amazing, beautiful people, and I'm so grateful that they're in my lives. I learn from them all the time as well. And I will tell you, I hear this phrase all the time. And think about it, if you think about signing to work, do this work, and people say to me all the time, and I say the same thing, I don't know where I'd be without this work. I mean, people say, Bethany, I don't know where I'd be without this work. And I say the same thing, because this life is brutal. It can be tough, it's hard, it doesn't make sense, but there is a way to work with your nervous system on a grander, larger scale that does make sense. And you can use all of your challenges to actually move further into states of consciousness where you go, oh, I get it, I understand. And you understand the real story that we're living here, and its beauty, it's fabulous, and it's a journey that, it's why you're here. So I hope you come work with us, come share. I'd love to meet you and get to know you, and to have you help us teach more people about their nervous system and how to launch into who we all really are. All right, thank you all so much for listening, and I hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.